Usually it takes YouTube a little bit, but I think we are now live on YouTube or on Twitch.
Yeah. Ooh, I like your format. It looks sick, man.
Oh, thank you,
Yeah,
dude.
I have it pulled up on
I
the side. It looks sick, bro.
yeah, I try to be a little bit professional, just a
Ooh,
little bit.
I feel so professional right now.
All right, so there we go. Live streams.
1 second.
There we go. So that's good there.
All right. So I had to talk to the kiddos for a sec.
No, you're totally good, dude. I have
Look,
an
I'm
8-year-old
always.
myself, so
Oh, you do? I'm
yeah.
always in daddy mode, dude. Can't help it. How
No,
it is.
I know how that feeling is. I have an 8-year-old, and I have an 8-year-old that's my stepdaughter, and then I have a 7-month-year-old that's actually like mine, like all mine. So it's been
Oh,
crazy
dang.
7 months
Oh
of
yeah, yeah. You got that fresh newborn. That is
oh yeah.
insane.
Yeah,
No,
it's been a lot. It's been a
yeah,
lot.
dude. I've been there 3 times. In fact, I got 3 kids myself. I got 3 kids. I got all of them are boys too. So
Oh
I got
wow.
yeah, I got all 3 boys. One baby mama though. So
That's
like
awesome. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. No. But yeah, I got 3 boys myself. I wouldn't change it for anything, but obviously it's a lot hands on, especially I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine having a baby right now, too. My youngest happens to be, he just passed 2 years old. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay, okay. Well, dude, honestly, just to do introductions, dude. Dude, I am so happy to have you here on the 1v1, dude. I mean, your streams, your new world content, and especially in a day and age right now where new world content, not many people are consuming, but yet people are going in droves to your Twitch streams, having a good time. You have those good vibes out there. I mean, so like, how does it feel like just doing new world content, like in this current climate?
That's a great question. Also, I really appreciate that. Like I really because like let's not lie, but
Right.
the reality is this new world is not necessarily the hypest place to be, but that is
True.
something that is true. There's a lot of people that still come into my stream and hang out. I mean, when it comes to like doing new world content right now, it obviously feels rough, right? Like just
Right.
in general, even as a content creator, it feels rough because at least when it comes to getting new people in, right? To
Right.
see people enjoying the game because not only is the content rough, but the biggest part that I think a lot of people don't really talk about or think about is the sentiment around the game that makes it even more tough. Not only do you have people, one, even if they are interested in the game, first they got to be interested in the game. So when they get interested in the game, then they got to get over the hurdle of being laughed at for wanting to play the game. And that's literally where it's at, because
Yeah.
it's like even in my chat all the time, people would be like, oh yeah, dude, I want to play this game. This game was cool. And then look, I love my homies, okay, but some of the homies will literally at them and be like, don't play this game, and it's like, no, stop it, bro. Don't just stop telling them not to play it. Like because it's like that, but that is just sadly where New World's at right now. It sucks, but that's just where we're at.
Yeah. I mean, so do you feel like the developers aren't making it any easier for you as a content creator either, or someone that can advocate to those people to it's okay, like it's people will laugh at you, whatever, but it's actually a good game? Because I feel like the developers, at least from an outside perspective, don't do the people making new world content any favors. Like I feel like they're so out of touch to what the reality of the situation is.
Yeah, you're not wrong with that. I mean, there's definitely a huge reality with that, right? Where even as somebody like myself has been in this space for so long, the
Right.
devs the problem is and I'll even say personally, like I know like not like inside stuff, but I've been around, right? Dude,
Right.
AGS Amazon has went through so many different community managers and like content managers consistently, right? Like I mean the layover for this is crazy. Like
Wow.
this is not cap. Like you'll know a community guy and then literally a month later they're gone, and then you know what I mean. So it's like in general, I think it's funny because people outside looking in want to put a lot on it on like you know, it's just AGS with New World, things like that. The reality is like there's something that's going on with like Amazon management that is actually the problem.
Right.
Like they're
Right.
having a hard time, whether it be higher ups or whether it be just retention of employees.
Right.
Something is happening in the sauce there. So that's my personal opinion, just from what I've seen. You know what I mean?
Right. It's just it's a shame, and I just want to our boy Jay Oddity just followed me on Twitch, and he's been making New World content probably alongside with you. I know he's been doing a lot of the
Oh, dude,
YouTube things.
Jay's the homie. Is Jay here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. He just followed me, so
Yeah, dude. Hey, Jay's the homie, man. Yeah, dude. Me and dude, I catch Jay in the morning a lot. He does a lot of the morning New World stuff. I mean,
right,
he's the EU boy, so I'm
right,
like I'm
right.
evening, he's morning. So, but no, he's really cool, man. Jay's awesome. I've known Jay
Yeah,
for a while.
Jay's been making quality content for New World, Ashes of Creation, just a lot of the MMOs coming out. So how do you feel now? Like as you're learning about like Ashes of Creation, you see the passion in the developers. You see people that work from Intrepid coming in and actually chatting in chats and stuff
Oh,
like
that's
that.
amazing. That's
Like
like unheard of.
I know, right? Like
Yeah.
it's just one thing where you have a company like AGS, it's like a multi-billion-dollar company that can throw money into projects to actually make them better. And yet their solution, it seems to me, and again, it's just outside perspective, is to abandon the community that made them who they were as far as New World and go to console.
Yeah,
Because
well, I don't mean to interrupt.
no, that's okay.
I feel like AGS is in a very weird situation right now, and the way that I look at this is, I feel like they know at the bottom of their heart as much as they want, because the reality is they have already pushed so many people in the PC player base like away, that
Right.
I think they knew that the only way for them to legitimately save New World by any means is to literally just focus console, because that
Mm,
is a whole new player base. And the way I look at it too is, this is the longest that we've ever seen like a complete content drought. So and the way I look at it is, this is them literally long shotting, right? This is a long
that's also
shot.
true.
This is them saying, look, we are putting all of our cards into this, because you only get 1 second chance, and you only get to release it on console once. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get to do it again. So I think that they understand, they took this, it's definitely a marketing decision, right? They took this downtime and this period of understanding that they're going to push a little more of us away, but whatever, they have to nail it for the console. And I think that that's where they're at. I think it's a strategy move. Is it the right strategy move? We're gonna have to see. Like, that's my genuine opinion. I think, it's strategy, but is it the right strategy? Right? Like, that's how I feel about it.
No, I got you. I guess like yeah, I don't want to beat the New World horse like over and over
Oh,
again, you
dude, I
know.
beat it every day. So, and the New World Horse. No, Yeah. Sorry, bro. I had to. Sorry.
No, you're
Look,
good, dude.
man,
You're good.
look,
You're
man,
good.
look.
But I had to do something special for you. So when Burns and you were talking during y'all's conversation, y'all were in a New World guild called Globo Gym.
Yeah,
And
dude.
so for just the sake of this conversation, I had to support you and my boy Burns
Hey, I
and
see that.
wear a Globo Gym shirt. Dude,
Yeah, dude.
so me and my wife, one Halloween, she went as an average Joe, and she
Oh,
had a
really?
dodgeball, and I had like the wig, the mustache, the Globo Gym shirt,
Oh, that's amazing, bro.
and I
That
was
is
Ben
sick.
Stiller's character in Globo
Yeah,
Gym.
yeah, dude, I love dodgeball.
Dude, I
Dude,
know.
that movie is so good. Dude, I look on a side note. I was talking to my brother the other day. They just don't make comedies like they did in the early 2000s. Maybe that's
Bro,
because I'm getting
that's so
older. But
true.
like, I swear, just early 2000s comedy was peak, bro.
Dude,
Like,
you
I don't know. I
Step
stand on 10
Brothers,
toes down. Oh,
yeah,
dude.
Step
I mean,
Brothers, Anchorman,
oh
Dodgeball,
yeah,
like,
scary movie. I like scary movie
oh, dude,
one to
yeah,
three. Those
oh
are
yeah,
the Harold and Kumars,
yeah.
amazing. I mean, American Pies. Like, you have so many classic early 2000s that are just like bangers.
I think it's because of the culture, dude. I mean, again, people were trying to cancel at one point The Office for
Mhm.
certain scenes they were showing back in like 2008. like 2009. And I
Yeah.
feel like the cancel culture now is just like you can't say anything funny because you're going to
Yeah.
offend somebody. But
Yeah.
comedy was always meant to be offensive in one way, shape, or form. Like it
Well, it
was a
definitely teeters a line, like there's a
right.
line, and back then that line was like, if there was a line in the stand, you could push it all the way up to here. Now you can't push it as far, right? There's a boundary.
Absolutely.
Also, in my opinion, even that aside, I actually think the biggest thing, and I've talked about this a lot on stream, I think the biggest thing is, and I don't care. I look, I'm sorry if people like superheroes, but I'm gonna say it. I feel like Marvel and superheroes and movies like that completely destroyed like cinema to a degree because it showed like why would you put so much time into making a comedy or something when you see it when you can just rehash a million superhero movies and make absolute bang. I feel like it's also something that's changed in cinema too, not just like the way that comedy is presented and stuff, but also the way that like certain movies have just absolutely dominated. So what's the point in trying to make anything different? Like, dude, I don't know, man. When was the last time we had like a Good Will Hunting? When was you know what I mean? Like, when was the last time? Like, it feels like we just don't get these kind of movies anymore. Sorry, I'm on a tangent, bro.
No, you're good. I feel
But
like
like
we
that's how I feel. Like I'm like it's always just like I don't know, some kind of like big blockbuster like superhero movie. I'm like, I don't know, give me something else, man.
I
Spice it
feel
up.
I feel like there are movies like that though. So like
Yeah.
again, there's a couple of, even from the 2010s to the 2020s. So there's Whiplash comes
Oh
to
yeah,
mind with
dude, that's
J.K.
good.
Simmons, Birdman with Michael Keaton. When Michael Keaton's first movie back was the movie Birdman, and
Mhm.
it was an amazing indie movie that I think it sparked a lot of creativity in the movie,
Oh yeah.
and so I feel like Marvel's stint in superheroes did outshine a lot of what was going on in the 2010s to the 2020. But look at what's going on with superheroes now. Like Marvel's been suffering ever since they've ended phase 4 or
Oh
phase
yeah.
3.
Well, you can
Ever
only milk the cow so much.
exactly.
Like,
And again, it's been hurting them financially. Even Disney in general has been losing millions, if not billions of dollars at this point with, their woke adaptations or, hell, like I've been watching a lot of Critical Drinker lately, and just what's going on with Star Wars has been baffling to me.
oh man, guy,
It's
dude,
bro.
I do not know. I've never seen a single Star Wars.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I know. I swear. Every time I tell my chat this, every time I say it, man, people are baffled. I have never seen a single Star Wars movie.
Bro, oh my god. Well,
Yeah,
thank you so much, Willie, for coming on the 1v1. I really
of
appreciate
course.
you coming
Yeah.
out. No, just joking.
Sorry, dude. I'm sorry. I know. I know.
Well, I'll
But
say this. I'll say this. Look, I am not a Star Wars fanatic, like by any means. I like Star Wars, but I am not one of those people that treats it like the Bible or treats
yeah,
it
of
in this
course.
very
Yeah.
holier than thou kind of way. But all I'm saying is, like, imagine a property or a cinematic property that you do enjoy, and imagine someone taking that property and just completely ruining every single thing about it.
Oh,
And
that
that's
that
how
was so sad.
and that's what Star Wars fans feel like, right? It's like they have a beloved thing that they've known since childhood is just monumentally getting destroyed at every turn. And it sucks because I'm a huge Batman fan. I love
Yeah.
Batman. And
The
I
Dark
can't,
Knight's one of my favorites, to be honest.
yeah, of course. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a good one. I
absolute
mean,
classic.
but I feel like I can't imagine if they just were gonna make Batman like completely outside of his character. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah,
don't
that's
care
so
if they
weird.
ever make him black or make him Taiwanese or make him Indian. Like, I don't care for the race swap.
Yeah.
Go ahead and do that, but keep Bruce Wayne who Bruce Wayne is, right? Keep Batman who Batman is.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, yeah, I can go, dude. I'm not a cinephile, but I do love movies. Like I
Yeah.
love all that stuff. But the one thing I do want to ask you, going back to MMOs,
Of course,
is like
of course.
what started you down the MMO route? Like what gets you to stick with a game like New World,
Yeah.
and just play it and enjoy it and love it? Like what is it about the MMO design that it captures you?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. And honestly, I even see some people in chat like, "Who's your boy Willie?" This is a great kind of segue, kind of learning a little bit about me. I am like, I'm a very weird kind of gamer. I feel growing up, I've always been very selective with my games. Like, there's always
Okay.
been a lot of people who have like 100 different games, right? They'll play whatever. For me, I always was very selective. I'd play a couple, but I would like master the games that I did play. And essentially, whenever I was in second grade, my cousin isn't here anymore, but my cousin did show me old school RuneScape. I actually
Mm.
I went to the library, the public library in second grade, and he showed me old school RuneScape. And I'm not kidding. Ever since that moment, I was just like absolutely addicted. I played it at the library, and then it was like it was over. In fact, the tune I made that day is still the tune I play to this day.
Dang.
I still play old school RuneScape. So I started playing old school RuneScape, and something about it kind of gripped me because the thing that MMOs I think have that a lot of other games don't is, it takes you away from like real life. I
Right.
think being able to disassociate with MMOs is something that a lot of games don't do well. There is certain types of like disassociating in games. Like for instance, I'm a big fan of competitive games as well, right? I play a lot of League of Legends. I used to play a lot of COD, a lot of Halo, things like that. Like
Oh.
try to be at a competitive level.
Mhm.
But the things that I've always loved is I like being able to do that, right? I like I was masters in League of Legends the last 2 seasons. So like
Damn.
I was, yeah, dude, I'm very competitive with that. But then at the same time, just whereas I have like that itch, MMOs scratch an itch that no other game can. I
Right.
like playing New World, even though people give me so much hell for it. Playing New World literally just gives me like it's a getaway, it's a release. It's like whenever I have 3 World of Warcraft tattoos, so that's a big thing for me too. I did that a lot with WoW, so it's been RuneScape, it's been World of Warcraft, and New World. Those have been my 3 MMOs my whole life, and being able to kind of like use that as kind of like a getaway is kind of why I love MMOs. It just gives me that feeling where when I log on, I feel safe. This is my home. I'm here with the homies. I got a community, whether it be a
Right.
guild in WoW or now my community in New World. That's kind of why I love it so much. And I think that kind of bleeds through to my stream as well. It's hard to deny. Like, I genuinely love this, dude. Like, I love playing MMOs. I love playing games, man. I'm a nerd.
Well, I mean, that's awesome. And the fact that like you were playing, New World, which again, New World has been suffering lately, but it's like no one cares when they're looking at you or what you're doing because
Yeah.
they seem the fun and it's just that fun is contagious.
Oh yeah,
And
I've
and
had
so
plenty of people say they want to play the game. They'll come to my stream and they'll be like, "Bro, you make me want to play this game," and that's like one of the best compliments.
yeah, and I think it's being around people that aren't so like this is why I stepped away from the World of Warcraft community.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I mean, we'll ask like you in just a moment, but
Yeah,
for my personal thing, I left WoW because I was just constantly being negative about the game, and
yeah,
I felt like the people that were actually enjoying the game were always just sick of me in Discord, always shitting on it. And it's
yeah,
just,
yeah, yeah. You like
it's like
being that guy. Like,
yes, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And so even me realizing like I was playing World of Warcraft for almost 16 years and I just felt like I think it's just time to go. Like it's a time like if I can't deem any enjoyment from it, I shouldn't be here. Like I should
yeah.
be somewhere that I am actually happy and I'm actually like excited about the game or the community or whatever. And so that's exactly what I did. Like I left my old WoW guild behind. I moved on and here I am in ashes and loving it. You know what I mean? Because again, when you surround yourself with people that have that same kind of passion, it just makes it easier to do the thing you want to do. Right.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that even that not only just whenever it comes to playing, not only when it comes to just you personally, right? But also it also translates to stream. Like, for instance, a lot of people are asking me like why I'm not playing Terrace Land right now. A lot of the New World streamers have pretty much all went to Terrace Land. I'm like the last of the Mohicans over here. Like it sounds funny, but like that's the reality. So many
Right.
people are like, Willie, why are you not playing Terrace Land? And it's
Right.
like I I I'm not going to do something I genuinely don't want to do. But I know
It's true.
everybody else may not like, everybody else may not like New World right now. The reality is I still do. I don't know how to explain it. I'm sorry, I'm a weirdo, dude. Like but then again, like that comes back to, like I said in the beginning, kind of how I play my games. I'm so picky. And it's a big reason why I'm really interested in Ashes, because this looks like a game that I could add to that collection. I think because the reality is, whenever I first actually got successful streaming on New World, is when I threw on my stream, a lot of people already knew me in the community because I was a degen. I was already no lifing the game.
Right.
Like I was that guy. I was already no living it. So
Right.
whenever I went live, they already knew I love the game. I'm already playing it every day. It's not like I'm coming in and being this, different presence, So it's like I like to get in games early and really grind it out. And yeah, I mean, I think that, vibes and stuff are everything. And I think you can tell if somebody's BSing. Like if I were to be playing Terror,
100%.
if I were to be playing Terrorist Land right now, it just doesn't give me that. It doesn't give me that feeling. And I can't be a snake oil salesman. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, dude. I'm a streamer, but damn it, I'm gonna be as authentic as I can while I'm here. Like I feel like authenticity is important, man.
Dude, it's the most important thing that I think a lot of people don't understand, because I've always been able to pick up BS from people. And as soon as I recognize it, I'm like, oh, okay, so this is just an entertainment act for that you're putting on for us.
Yeah,
You're not legitimately feeling this feeling you're emoting. But I feel like I'm ready to get inside this episode and start.
Absolutely. Let's
You ready
go.
to go? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, starting the official 1v1 bonus episode with our boy Willie in 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, welcome back to the 1v1 podcast. I am your host Vlhadus, and today I have a very special guest. He was on with our boy Burns, the Copium Clinic. It is our boy, our New World streamer, yo boy Willie. What is going on, my dude?
Hey, it's another beautiful day, man. We're out here talking games, hanging out, dude.
That's very, very right. And so for those of you guys, we have been live on Twitch and on YouTube doing our pre-show. We had a really nice conversation, about 15 minutes long. I thought we went into some really awesome stuff. And so we're going to pick it off from here. And you mentioned something about you being very picky when it comes to choosing the MMOs that you want to play. So what are those elements? What are the elements that you specifically look for when choosing your MMO of choice?
Oh, that's a great question. I think, for one, there has to be, I think one of the biggest things, there has to be a big sense of community. I think that goes a long way for me. And it's a
Okay.
big reason why I got into WoW, especially WoW Classic. I mean, I played WoW Vanilla whenever I was like 11 or 12, and I've been playing
Right.
WoW ever since. So,
Right.
and the reason, like, I don't play much retail, but I could always get back into Classic because I think what an MMO does when they build that community, it forces you guys to play together. You have to overcome obstacles together, and it feels organic. It feels real, right? I think that's what grits me. And even like, for instance, in the space right now with New World, there is that as well, with the wars and stuff and things, there's such a community, and I love that. So I think community is important. Obviously fun gameplay, fun combat. I think combat obviously has to be like the next big thing. For instance, there was a lot of people whenever PAX Day came out, saying like, oh, with the building and stuff. Well, look, man, the combat was horrible. Like, let's not beat around the bush. The combat, like, dude, the combat was, I couldn't see that really improving anytime soon. Like, this reality, combat's important. So community combat, and I mean, honestly, just another reason to come back, like, for instance, having alts and WoW, things like that, or objectives, dailies that are exciting, incentive, good rewards for what I do in the game. I think those are probably the most important. So
Okay. So in Ashes, there's going to be a lot of things that are going to feel, I would say, semi-similar to Classic World of Warcraft, because in Classic World of Warcraft, alt mentality isn't really that much a thing, because it takes a pretty good amount of time to level from 1 to 60.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not like retail where you can do that just by paying for it for $60, or, even if you didn't do that, it'll still take you like, what, 4 to 6 hours maybe if you don't know what you're doing. It's still very quickly. Ashes is going to take you probably like a month, maybe a little bit less. It depends on how much time you're going to dedicate to the game. So that's already going to, yes, the journey for leveling is going to be long. It's not going to be.
Good, though. That's great. I think that's amazing. That's something that got lost in translation with current WoW and what they did wrong. Everybody's so focused on the end game that nobody wants to focus on the journey. And I think that's the problem with MMOs. It's about the journey. It's about the whole, don't get me wrong. I mean, we want good end game, but like, I mean, Ask anybody in New World, dude. Like the reason why New World was so gripping at first was because, man, I mean, the graphics, the sound design, that it
Yeah.
was all amazing at first, right? But the
Right.
the, the problem in New World was the end game. There was no end game, right? So it's just
Right.
funny when you look at that. But I do agree. I think the journey's there, dude. If it takes that long for Ashes, I'm here for it. Like
Yeah.
I'm here for it, dude.
It's going to be one of those things that is going to feel very different from comparatively to looking at your traditional like lineup of MMOs, right? Comparing it to New World, Lost Ark, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy
Mhm.
14, Guild Wars 2, ESO. Ashes is like a whole other breed. It's nothing like those games. There's some similarities, but it's really taking inspiration from a lot of the older MMO design philosophies of things feeling a little bit more grindy. It's going to take a lot more time. It's going to take a lot more people. It's not going to be a single player focused experience, right? There is going to have a group component. It's going to have a lot of group level mentality when doing certain systems.
Mhm.
And so I feel like for you as a player, is having a single player experience a good thing for you, or do you like having more of the group oriented experiences as you're leveling, as you're journeying
Yeah,
through max
I
level?
personally hate like in a weird way. I hate like the single just having like a single player experience, especially in like an MMO, right? I like the massive multiplayer version of an MMO. The reason why I'm
Right.
playing an MMO is to feel like I'm surrounded by other people, right?
Right.
Like that's the whole idea. So I never have been a fan of like retail WoW and others where I play it and I feel like I'm in this linear experience and they're just holding my hand while I just trudge along and you know and it's like it doesn't I don't feel like I'm doing anything like I don't
Right.
feel like why like and also I'm hoping that Ashes doesn't give us the stereotype of us being like some godlike main character. I
Right.
love MMOs when I feel like I'm just an idiot. I'm just some stupid peasant who happened to pick up some armor and I'm ready to go. You know, like that's
Right.
I like that because I think there's some realism with that. It makes me feel like I'm an adventurer, and
Right.
you know, and just that whole it makes the journey feel more authentic, organic, and a lot of times in those like single, it just turns into like an RPG. Like I don't want to just
Right.
play that. You know, I love it whenever I like in classic WoW, for instance, when I get a hard quest and I need to group up with like a whole team to kill a boss. It's like that's so
Right.
cool because how many times, man, I've been there. How many times like you group up, you meet a cool dude, you add each other on as friends. Next thing you know, you're grinding in the same level. Like a week later, you're in the same zone or something. You hit them up. You're like, "Hey, can you come help me with this quest?" It's that, and it's like that community is like so important. So yeah, I'm here for it.
Yeah. I think it's one of the things that I was really curious about, like when I started to get into the knowing about Ashes of Creation, was the group concept. The fact that this is going to, Steven always said in the past that he was going to bring the massively, back in MMORPG.
Yeah.
And especially when I look at the landscape of MMOs and how they do open world content with a lot of people, it hasn't really been a good track record of that. You know what I mean? Like, let's just
Yeah.
be honest here. Like, World of
Yeah.
Warcraft in 2024 still suffers at a 40 versus 40 battle in an instance, right?
Gosh,
It
yeah.
still suffers. Like, you still go in there, you get low frame rate, you get screen tearing, you get lag, you get rubber banding, you get all this stuff that the servers just can't keep up. And so with New World, like, again, with these wars, like, how do you feel? Like, first of all, I don't know. I haven't played New World. Are wars instanced? And if they
Yes.
are, okay, so if they are, how many people are in them? And is it feel like a smooth experience?
So what's funny is wars weren't initially instanced. That's what's crazy.
Mm,
So yeah,
okay.
so initially, yeah, it's wild. So initially, wars were not instant. So whenever a war was going on, they would actually zone out the whole plot of land in the world.
Like a
You
bubble?
could it was like an invisible barrier. You would just get stuck trying to go around the
Oh
area.
my God.
So yeah, it was so bad. So they did end
Woo.
up changing that and they ended up instancing it. And then after they instanced it, it definitely felt a little bit better. But I mean, it took a while to get them where they're at. There's been trials and tribulations. I think there still is problem in the wars when it comes to people disconnecting and stuff, but we've seen it a lot worse in the past. So
Right.
it's it's like yes, it is still there. It's not easy, but it is better than where it used to be. And I would say currently where it's at, you might have like one or two people from each team disconnect, maybe a little bit more. There are tricks to go around it though in the game. Like, there's barriers where you can pull them in quick enough, then they'll get right back in, right? Like it's tough. It's tough. But yeah, I mean, it's still there. It's not gone, it hasn't gone away. So even though it's instanced.
So, like, how many players get pitted against each other in a war? Like,
Yeah, so it's a
is it
50v50. It's a 50v50.
50v50? And so, whenever like, has there been 50 players that you have seen like on screen that actually does it run pretty well? Like, as far as that goes, it does.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I
So,
mean, if you, also it does come down to your optimization in your PC,
right? Like
let's be
graphics card,
honest.
all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Let's be honest. I mean, if you're a Giga Chad, you probably won't be having any problems. But if if you're an Andy, you might be struggling, and that's okay.
So, did you get a chance to look at what Intrepid just released this past Wednesday?
What? No, not maybe. What is it? Jog
The
my memory.
the server meshing.
Oh yeah. I was live, and now look, I was there, and boy, were my ears open. I was wide eyed. I was trying to pay attention, and but now, did I retain a lot of that information,
Bro?
I don't know.
No,
My chat really helped me during that. Okay.
Dude, no, I felt the same way. Dude, I am not an engineer. I don't do server talk. I think the biggest thing, and just going back to like a little bit of our earlier conversation about the open world feeling and you feeling like you're not in this by yourself. So many games shard and instance players off so many times that you just feel like the world isn't big. Like there's just a lot of people like in the world, but there are people there. They're just, you're on server 32 and they're on server 19, or instance or whatever.
I hate that. I hate it.
And with what they showed in this thing, because again, there's a philosophy with Ashes of Creation of when you're on a server, like if you pick the server, Olympus, you go into the Olympus server, there is no sharding of any kind. Like it's a persistent thing. Yeah. So anybody, all the 8,000 to 10,000 people that are on that server can all be together, like in a sense.
Yeah.
And so
I remember them saying that was actually a huge takeaway from that. I do remember that much. Like server stuff aside, I remember that because what they said specifically, which really resonated with me as a PvP player, when they brought that up, they specifically like noted that that is why they want to do it, because of like world PvP and stuff. Because they want to make sure that like world PvP and stuff is not like heavily affected by that. And I think that's awesome because, like I said, I'm obviously big into PvP, and that would suck. That would suck if like sharding and stuff, it makes it all less enjoyable. And I don't even know, like even in WoW, when people are like, oh, they're all in Goldshire or whatever killing us, I'm like, okay, I go to Goldshire and nobody's here. I'm like, but if in Ashes, that's awesome. That'd be really cool because it's like, oh dude, I can just go over here and I know I can pick a fight. As a PvP enjoyer, if I'm looking to catch a fade, I can go find a fade,
Right. No, 100%. So someone in chat, I usually don't acknowledge chat like I was rude at episodes, but I do want to answer this. So he says, how many bonus episodes are we going to have till Steven joins the 100th? As many as I can, I guess. I don't know. Like I had certain guests that I reached out to, Willie being one of them. And so I didn't want to just, decline on Willie and wait till after Steven. I figured, hey, if he can come on and we can have this conversation, let's do it. But I don't have any more planned after Willie. Willie's the final.
Steven, if you look, I would understand, dude. I would have been like, you know what? It's an honor.
I know.
If that came up, brother, that would have been not a problem.
No, for sure. I mean, and to be honest, like I know Steven and Margaret, like especially with from this point forward, it's going to be a very, very busy couple of months for them. But I still trust Margaret and everything like that. We're still getting stuff together, so. Just give me a little time and also give Intrepid a little time. It'll happen. But I will say this, Willie, like for you being such a PvP centered player around New World, does the aspect of Ashes of Creation's PvP like tickle your fancy? Because there's going to be like node wars, castle sieges, node sieges, guild wars, like just everything that you can do outside in the open world battle, like, and there's no player that is safe in a sense, right? Like the way the flagging system works,
like caravans and stuff like that. Like there's
right.
so much, no, dude, Ashes, it's a big reason why I've really put a lot into Ashes and stuff too. Like I've been preaching Ashes and stuff for a long time on stream because I knew about this early on because
Right.
I obviously that's what we do in our stream, right? As a lot of PvP focused, a lot of us in New World. And the reason why I think Ashes is going to be the next big thing for us is because of that. We saw the Node Wars. I know what they are trying to cook up. The biggest thing, like like for instance, why New World is rough right now is a lack of content. So
Yeah.
we generally lack content. We only really have wars and one battleground. Ashes is going to have so much PvP opportunity for us, and if it's done right, it could be exactly what like New World should have been. You know what I mean? And I
Right.
think that's why I'm so excited about it. I genuinely am. The main thing that I'm worried about, and I hit on this on one of my videos, but the main thing I'm worried about is the competitiveness of the wars because I know there's all different kinds of wars, and
Right.
I was talking to Burns about possibly going in and out of them, things like that, right? Like how people could just join in, and I just hope that there is a competitiveness to it, right? Like I'm hoping that it's not just like who can zerg the most. I'm genuinely hoping that there is some kind of like, deeper skill level that it's going to take because that's the biggest reason why people still play New World is because of that. Is the
Right.
wars. Like the people love the fact that you have this competitive war system that forces you to like hone your skills. And now obviously that's going to be there to a degree with Ashes. I just hope it's not too zergy, and I don't think it will be, but that's one of my thoughts about it.
Yeah, I honestly have the kind of same fear. And it depends on how many objectives there are during a war, because a war should feel like a legit war. There's multiple points of interest on the map for you to go and do. It's not an hour-long thing, it's days long. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's the kind of approach I hope Intrepid is going to go with, because again, how long do the wars last in New World? Is it
It's only 30 minutes. That's
right?
yeah,
And that feels
exactly.
like a battle. That's not a war to
Exactly,
me.
yeah.
Right. And so with Ashes, I feel like, and again, a lot of the people, CCs, a lot of people that go on live talking about Ashes of Creation, we always talk about it. It should feel epic, and it should feel like there should be multiple prime time objectives. And by prime time, meaning anywhere between 3 p.m. central server time all the way to 9 p.m. server time. There's like all these different objectives at the area or at the wherever the warring spot is. And so the more objectives there are, the less it is to just zerg each and every one of those kinds of objectives, right? And again,
Yeah.
you could, but I think if a guild or certain attacking or defending sides play it smart and split up, because
Yeah.
there's so many different objectives to do, and they're either timed, or like time sensitive, I guess I should say, would be a better word. It basically makes it strategic in how you want to approach the map. Where do we go first? Where's our plan of attack? Should we get these things over here? Like, that's what war is. If you played Risk, like,
Oh, absolutely.
like it takes a lot of brain power to basically figure out like how do you want to go on the attack.
Yeah,
You know what
and
I mean?
and I was brainstorming because I mean shout out to Ethereum. I'm gonna be with Ethereum. And I was brainstorming in general with a couple of friends and stuff.
Right.
I genuinely think that the people who are going to be good at organizing is going to be who excels in the war system in Ashes. Like
Absolutely.
I think the macro is going to mean more than necessarily at first at least the complete
Yeah.
individual play. The individual play is going to come in later whenever people start honing their skills and getting better at the game, right? But
Right.
I think at first the people are going to be able to say 3 groups over here, 4 groups over here, in 30 minutes we're going to need to rotate, you know what I mean? Like I
Right.
genuinely think that the macro play is going to be what separates the winners and losers in wars more than likely in Ashes, at least off the rip.
Yeah. And I think all speaking of all of this stuff, like, this is why I was really excited for this past live stream, because before this stream, before they even mentioned server meshing, I was like, dude, because in my opinion, I was thinking you're going to make it one server with no sharding, no, like 20% instance content. How is it going to be stable for all this to be in game? Like, when I think of all other games, like, no game has done this. Like seriously, like
Yeah, no, it's a tough ask.
it's a tough ask because you mentioned, battlegrounds, or mentioned like where stuff is going to happen, and there only being one battleground in New World, but Ashes, any dungeon can potentially become a PvP battleground.
Oh yeah, I
Like
saw that. Yeah.
at any main area of interest could end up just sprawling out of control, and then now you just have like 50 versus 50 or 100 versus 100 people just killing each other for no reason. You're like, what the hell did I just stumble upon? You know what I mean? And I think that aspect, that natural gameplay, and again, this is just Intrepid putting all the foundational tools in place and letting the players do what they do. And I think that has been also severely lacking in a lot of MMO design recently, is that devs don't give enough player tools for players to actually have fun with.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, it's something that, well, it's just funny. I want to hit on that because that's something that we saw falter with New World. We saw that problem with New World, where a lot of people said that some of their favorite moments in New World was literally open world PvP, where they
Right,
would just be running around, and next thing you know is a giant battle, and or
right,
there's a big fight outside one of the big cities. A lot of people,
right.
that was their pinnacle of PvP. It wasn't the wars, it wasn't the battlegrounds, it was the open world. So the
Right.
fact that we could get more organic moments like that would absolutely be, amazing for a game like Ashes. Like, because people genuinely want that. They like that.
Yeah, and I think that in itself just speaks as to so much potential content for people, and it's not a hard thing to pull off. I mean, in a sense, it is, because you have to have the server infrastructure in place to facilitate major battles happening to where people just don't get kicked off of servers. And so, because I think if you as a new, did you play New World at launch, or did
Oh
you?
yeah.
Okay,
Oh
so
yeah, I've been playing New World literally for almost 3 years straight, bro. I'm my brain rot is at an immense level. Nobody can comprehend it.
yeah, did your boy Willie convert to AOC? He's been preaching the good word for a while now, from
Oh
what he's
yeah,
been saying.
absolutely, dude. This isn't like me just like kind of like, oh, Ashes is coming in soon, bro. I bought Ashes Alpha 2 like at least over a year ago. Like
Wow.
I have been hard on board. Like, and shout out to my buddy Snacks. I mean, and he knows Burns, and we were talking about this so long ago. Like, I have been so on board with this, and I've
Thank you
been
for the
telling
prime.
everybody in stream all the time that that's what we're looking for, because I genuinely feel that as a community, and especially the New World community, I actually do feel that Ashes is going to be, it's not going to be like a Terrace Land. I hate to keep, I'm not trying to bash Terrace Land. Terrace Land's like, excuse me, Terrace Land is like, it's that new shiny thing that people want to play with, but they're gonna drop it in a month or two.
Also true.
Ashes is like that thing that I genuinely feel like is going to, like, I want something to take my soul. I want Ashes to take my soul, bro. I want Ashes to just like do what New World did. Like, that's why I believe, man. I want this game to come in and just rip my soul out of me and just like, look, I'm sorry, sorry to my friends, sorry to my family. I'm gonna be playing Ashes. This is what I'm doing. This is me now. Like, that's what I want. And I
Well,
genuinely feel that way.
I mean, I think there's a lot of people, and again, there's a lot of my friends that have been playing World of Warcraft still, Guild Wars 2, and playing it as a sad puppy. Like, because there is nothing else that grabs their attention. So imagine, Willie, you wanting to play an MMO, but
Yeah.
New World isn't doing what you want. Like, it's
Yeah.
not scratching that itch anymore. So
Exactly.
as and I think as an MMO player, a lot of people are feeling that. They're
Oh
like,
yeah.
dude, it sucks wanting to play an MMO when all of your options to you don't seem appetizing. It's like being
100%.
super hungry and nothing that's in front of you is appetizing
You're
to
you're
you.
you're just eating rice every day,
Oh
just plain
god.
rice. You're
Ramen
hungry, you're
noodles,
eating
dude.
rice. Yeah, you're waiting for something delicious, and it's like, man, I'm still eating this. But no, it's funny though. It's funny you say that because whenever New World gripped me, like,
Yeah.
it's crazy to say, but it did, man. Whenever I was first started playing New World, I was so deep into, actually at the time it was classic Burning Crusade. That was what
Oh
was
yeah.
going on. Classic Burning. I was literally guild leading and raid leading SSC in classic BC. And I played New World, and I'm not even kidding. 4 days after playing New World, I told my guild that I was quitting, and
Oh, damn.
I did, dude, and I was the guild leader, bro. I was like,
Shit.
I read the lays, or I led the raids, man. I told everybody,
Damn.
I'm like, sorry guys, this game really just like I can't quit playing it, and I just have a feeling that like Ashes is gonna do that, you know, like I genuinely feel that way. It's how I am. They were mad, but like I had to do what I had to do, dude. The New World just took me, bro.
Well, I
I'm,
feel like with Ashes, it's one of those things that I actually, the reason why I've stuck with this project is because there hasn't been a foundational MMO to release with enough systems to grip people. Like New World, I think was a great example of that, because I remember when Asmongold came out and said the end game for New World is shit. And people like, and this was during the beta, and everyone's like, bro, they just haven't implemented it yet. Like all these like New World stands were coming out trying to defend AGS and being like, dude, and Asmon was something, it's just
those exist.
Yeah, like it's just chest runs. That's all you do. And Asmon was saying this like back in the beta, and then everyone was like, dude, Asmon, you don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. And then of course New World comes out, and that's all it is. And I feel like it's a shame, because again, we as players, like that's what keeps us grounded to an MMO is content, but also having systems in place where we can create the content if the content we've already done is finished, right? And so I think those two main things is what companies fail at doing towards their end users, towards the gamers that want to play a game. They fail on us being able to create content, so then we have to rely on the curated content that the developers have made, but that's finite. Once you're done with that, then what do? Right?
Yeah, well, and that's what we run into right now with New World a bit is, you know, we're like, for instance, the war system. The problem is it's like a mix of that with New World Wars right now, where Wars is like the one content that we can create, but it's so gate kept at this point that it's like by the same community that we have, because we like people still want to be in control of the content. They want to continue warring. It's all we really have right now. So it means that nobody else is really allowed to play ball, because that's the only content. Like there's no other like there's no other way to kind of get that content. So it's a vicious cycle. If you don't have like any much fun content in your game, it's tough, because then the good content's going to be gate kept. Like
I mean, so I guess for you as a New World player, right? So how are you feeling with the combat in Ashes of Creation? Because I mean, you did say you played World of Warcraft, so are you okay with it feeling a little bit more tab in nature? Or I mean, because again, there is, if you're a melee player, I think the melee is going to feel
looks awesome.
Very action oriented when it comes to the fighter.
Yeah, I've been saying that, like that. I genuinely feel that AOC looks a lot like New World meets World of Warcraft. Yes, there is like tab target and stuff, but I also feel like there's a good mix of like action combat that's going to make it feel a little bit more fluid. Personally, I don't mind tab target. Now, is there a lot of people in the New World community that does? Yeah, a lot of the people in the New World community really does not like tab target. They hate it. They hate it. But it doesn't surprise me. A lot of people in the New World community, this is their first MMO. I swear, dude, I'm telling you, I know my voice. I know my voice. People would be actually so surprised at how many people who enjoyed New World, that was their first MMO. So I think going into this, obviously we're going to have like Ashes, you know, you're going to have a lot of people experiencing a different kind of MMO, because like New World has been like the first MMORPG in a while that's really gripped so many people. Like the initial splash of New World was insane. And a lot of people really fell in love with the combat that way. So I do think it's going to be a tough sell, at least for that community and that side of things, to really get into tab target. But I do feel like, you know, tab target's completely fine with me. I mean, I have 3 WoW tattoos, bro. Alliance, by the way. Look, I'm sorry if you guys are hordes. A night elf, dude. You know, I got a night saber, man. I can tab target all day. Just give me that sweet, sweet dopamine in the MMO, and I'll be good.
So I feel like with the whole action to tab debate for certain people, like I feel like there are going to be action people that if they do give Ashes a shot, might end up liking what they play.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's just a matter of like, look, is it going to be a direct copy of New World's combat? No. Like I don't want to set false expectations, but I want to tell you at least that the content that you're doing in New World is probably going to be very similar in Ashes, but I think in a greater way. And there's going to be more of that content that you can do without feeling like you're only, because it just sucks whenever wars are the only thing, right? And if all of the systems, if you look at all of the systems that Ashes is trying to do, Guild Wars, which is going to be its own separate system, Node Wars, or node sieges, right? There's gonna be node wars, node sieges, castle sieges. There's going to be the caravan system, which is going to have, of course, the PvP stuff. There's going to be naval, which is going to be basically complete PvP stuff. Like it's going to be a PvP's paradise. Like, and this is what I tell a lot of people that are into PvP is there isn't an other MMO currently that actually gives PvPers their due. Every time PvP is always attacked on.
Yeah, like RuneScape, obsolete. Wilderness is a complete meme in the RuneScape community at this point, sadly. I mean, it is. Like, I'm just saying, like, it is. Like, like, the Wilderness is kind of, is a bit of a meme in RuneScape. And the WoW scene, yeah, it's there, but it's still, like, you know, it all relies on what? Like, I mean, rated arenas, things like that, you know?
Right.
I didn't, and even in New World, it's completely struggled. Like as a PvP scene, New World should have been way more than what it was, and we got cast aside. So I think the thing is the amount of variety in the PvP that's coming to Ashes is what I'm excited for. There's a lot of variety coming in. And I think that people are going to be able to, you know, whereas in New World, it's wars essentially. If you want to have that like super fun PvP experience, well, in Ashes, you're going to have wars. You could get a group of buddies and go on a stealth caravan mission and try to slay, you know, noobs trying to transport their stuff, you know, take their stuff. You know, there's so many different ways that you can actually enjoy PvP that it creates a lot of opportunities.
Yes, and that's the thing I feel the most excited about. And again, I am not the hardcore PvPer. Like I've been a raider in WoW for a long time. I dabbled in PvP when it comes to battlegrounds, arenas. Like I think the highest I ever went to was like 1950 rated, you know, arena in threes. Highest I ever got in my life. But it's like I'm not like I've never been that super duper cutting edge when it comes to PvP, but I do enjoy it. I think the adrenaline rush of, you know, whenever you kill a healer and you're like, oh my God, like this is going to happen now. Like is one of the best feelings in the world. And it's still, I've always said this, I've never gotten that sensation in any boss fight. Never. It's always been in PvP that you get that sheer adrenaline rush of like, when you're about to kill somebody, it just feels so good.
The dopamine hits crazy. And as much as I'm into PvP in New World, what's crazy is New World was the first MMO that got me into MMO PvP, which is wild because in RuneScape and WoW, my whole life playing those games, I was a PvE player. I loved raiding. I was a raid leader. Even as at a ripe young age, I was leading raids, man. I mean, I was literally like, I think 12 and 13 leading raids in World of Warcraft, you know?
Right.
You know, so it's like, I grew up loving PvE, but you know, as you know, after New World, it's like, dang, I'm like, man, I think I gotta cook up more on PvP. Like, this is fun. So like, I'm really excited to see, I want to bring those skills into like Ashes and see what I can do, man. I feel sorry for the server that has your boy on it. I'm just gonna say it now, man. Bro, me and the homies, bro, we're gonna be out here. We're gonna cook that server. We're taking it over, bro.
So are you going to be trying to play on East Coast servers, West Coast servers, Central servers?
East Coast. Yeah,
East Coast?
I'm Midwest emo. No, I'm kidding. I live in the Midwest. I live in Indiana. So yeah, no, I'm out here in the Midwest, bro. We're on the East Coast.
Okay. So I mean, I'm kind of hoping for Central servers, but again, I'm kind of in my guild, whatever server they pick, I'm kind of like, you know, locked into. So hopefully we'll get a Central server because I live in Texas myself.
Oh,
so
really? There's so many people that live in Texas, dude. Wait, are you okay? Isn't there like a hurricane or something? Or what's going on?
There's apparently a huge hurricane coming tomorrow, and it's supposed to. There's a whole triangle that it's affecting, which is like the central to south to central part of Texas, like so Houston to Brownsville, all the way to Austin, and so San Antonio, where I'm at, is in that line. So we'll see.
You be safe. The last thing I'd hope is one of your last conversations to be with me, man. What a shame.
It'll be an honor, dude. It'll be an honor, man. What are we talking about? But I guess going into like the PvP discussion a little bit. So like what are you looking forward to when it comes to PvP and Ashes of Creation? Are you looking forward to naval? Are you looking forward to just the natural like in-game, spontaneous kind
Yeah.
of PvP?
What I'm looking for most is actually it does come down to the war system. I fell
Okay.
in love. I fell in love with like the massive multiplayer macro of war. So like even in the wars, I shoutcast the wars, but I
Right.
also shot call wars. And even
Mm,
whenever I first started shot calling wars, there's a lot that goes to it, and I love it. Being able to look at the map, organize your group, see how you want to approach battles and stuff. That's fun to me. Kind of having that kind of feel and vibe is awesome. And that's what I'm looking forward to in Ashes. I will say though, Ashes feels like it's probably going to be more like Altric Valley. At least it's going to
oh,
be more like Altric Valley from like classic WoW. I feel like it's going to be more like that, getting resources, things like that, and then finally having like a central fight, a central battle. At least from what I saw,
right.
it gives me more of those vibes. But I think that can still be super fun and engaging, right? So
Right.
I'm really looking forward to the massive multiplayer. Like that's kind of what I'm in for. I want the mass scale
So
PvP. That's what I'm into.
so in New World, just so I can give you the proper context for
Mhm.
Ashes, in
Yeah.
New World, when you do your war fight, it's one static battle, right? Or one
Yes.
static area. It does never changes, right?
Yep. No, I mean
Right.
they're different forts, but the sad reality is they've never really done anything else outside of that. So
Okay.
yeah, they're all pretty much the same.
Okay. Okay. So in Ashes, there's 85 nodes that are
Oh
on
my
both
god.
sides of the continent.
Yeah.
85. And so you all are going to be leveling these nodes depending on where you're going to go. So how a war is declared is you have to have as a mayor the proper resources to initiate the war. And then once those the resources are allocated, then of course the commissions have to be then done for citizens to say, okay, we want to do this war against this other node. So you're going to have potentially 85 completely different locations and areas that these wars will take place in. But let me also go deeper, Willie.
That's
So
insane.
because there's going to be a day and night cycle, right? So day and night cycle is going to play a role into wars, right? So if you're playing for
Yeah.
multiple hours, you're going to be going between daytime and nighttime. But let me go another step further. There's going to be seasons. So each area is going to be then dependent of what season you're in, whether it's summer, autumn, winter,
Yeah.
spring. And each season is going to add different things in certain biomes that change the makeup of the land. So if you as a shot caller
Oh my god.
are only aware of a certain area in the summer, but
Yeah.
then the war is initiated, in autumn, there could be certain barriers, roads that are blocked off, certain things that are inaccessible, things that have completely changed. That's what you're looking forward to in Ashes of
Yeah,
Creation.
well, I think that's good because what that does is it creates engagement with the game. You can't turn
Yes,
your brain off and just, for instance, in New World's sake, wait for 9 o'clock every night to have your war. And it's the same thing, rinse and repeat, just how you execute it. Yes, is there some competitiveness to that? Absolutely. There is some
absolutely.
competitiveness to that. But I think what Ashes is going to do is Ashes is actually going to give us an engaging war system where you have to stay involved, where talking in Discord and keeping up with your console, like, hey, look, it just turned on, or, it's turning autumn soon. We got to think about this. It just creates a situation where you have to consistently be paying attention and involved with your node, with what you own. And I think that's important because,
Right.
in New World, the worst thing, all you got to do is like pay tax, like, keep upkeep and stuff. Like if you
Right.
own a territory, if you don't get your upkeep, then like crafting stations and stuff get lowered in the area. But that's like about it. I have a feeling in Ashes, if you're really not caring about your nodes and you're not, you know what I mean, you're not caring, you're gonna lose it. Like
Yep.
I just have that feeling. You're gonna have to be hands on. You're not
Yep.
gonna be able to get away with just kind of like being AFK. You're gonna have to know what's going on.
Well, and the thing is that the entire dynamic of the node system is to provide it's not just short-term content for you leveling from, let's say, level 3 to 4, but it's also long-term content in the sense of, let's say you've had a tier 6 metropolis for the past 6 months if that metropolis gets down to 0, right, and someone declared a siege on that node, and it's successful, now there's another tier 5 node somewhere that could potentially hit level 6. So now once that node does that, more brand new content has the chance to come out that wasn't there before. And that's the entire reason of why this node system is so appealing to many people, is the fact that could happen months. Like, you can be in the new patch, and that new content, you think, oh, this is the new patch content. No, it wasn't. That was content that was done back in the foundational of the game, right? It's just that this node has been level 6. It was the first level 6 node, but now it's been destroyed. So now you're going to get a brand new level 6 node. And the nodes, again, have different types to them. So you have military nodes, scientific nodes, divine nodes, and economic nodes. And each of those types bring specific tailor-made content to the players.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's crazy too is like, we think right now, obviously I refer a lot to New World. We think right now that like the companies that own a territory is cool and important, but this, like, coming into Ashes is going to be really insane. The guilds that own these big areas, they're going to be like, look, I'm not going to flex, but they're going to be walking around like they're going to be like royalty. You know, they're like, these guys own like arguably some of the most important things in your freaking server. Like, dude, you want to be on their good side, you know, and it's going to create so much fun dichotomies. Like, just thinking about, because look, just whereas you have heroes, you're going to have villains. There's going to like
also
that,
true.
That's what's awesome. You're going to have these guys who are like, maybe they're doing great and they're being so nice. You best believe there's going to be a guild or something forming because they hate them. They want to topple them. They want to make this city in, I don't know, a tier 1 zone. Like, they don't care.
Right.
You know, like, and I just like, I'm so excited. And this is why I get so giddy thinking about it and stuff. I'm just so excited because it's like, there's going to be so much fun opportunities, man. Like, I'm so stoked.
It's going to be, so someone in chat asked, is day and night or seasons going to have impacts on armor? The amount of different armor sets could be crazy. So I think different sets are going to, no, it's okay.
All right, sorry, Dad. I had to talk to him for a sec.
You're good.
All right, I'm back.
No, you're good. You're good. So someone in chat was just asking about armor. So first of all, armors is going to be a very unique thing in Ashes, because and like, you know, like World of Warcraft, right? You're kind of armor locked depending on what class you pick, right? So if you're a priest or a warlock, all you can basically wear is cloth. But in New World, or in Ashes, you can pick whatever armor type you want. You can be a cleric in heavy armor, in medium armor, or light armor. And the other thing about it too is that night and day not so much affect the armor types, but there are spells that are attached to Ashes of Creation's classes that are affected by what is happening as far as, is it raining? Because if it's raining, then certain nature spells like your lightning bolt actually gets empowered. You know, your chain lightning gets empowered.
That's actually insane. What?
So depending on the climate, right? If it's snowing, then your ice spells actually do more damage. Right.
Whoa.
So yes.
So cool.
Right?
Hey, I'm learning more stuff about this game every day. I know that, dude, I know the lore and stuff, and this goes deep. Like, oh my God, that is insane. But that also just creates so much engagement, right? Like, and I think that's the biggest thing that, like, even with talking to you about all this, it's so exciting because it just feels like we are going to be in a position where Ashes is going to give us, like you said, those tools to be engaged. We can, like, if all this works out, we're gonna have so much to play with, dude. Like, I'm telling you, right, it's gonna suck my soul away, and I want it to. I like this is exactly what I mean.
Well, it's going to be, again, like I think the armor is going to play a huge role, because light armor, from what we know, is going to be magic resistant. So as a tank, you could be doing a dungeon in all light armor. Right.
If
because
it's like magic heavy. Absolutely.
Right. Exactly. You know, and of course, being, I think with heavy armor, it's physical resistant. Right. So if there's a lot of physical attacks, then that's what you would want to wear. So basically, the reason why I'm mentioning that is because I don't really think, in my opinion, there's going to be a sort of meta as to what you would want to wear, because the combat is all rock, paper, scissors approach.
It's ever changing. It's ever changing. It sounds like.
And so with you, Willie, like, if you hate being stomped by clerics, then you might just put all your basket in your armor as far as being more light oriented, right? Like light armor,
Yeah,
right? So you're not always bombastic with all the freaking effects that the clerics are doing to you.
exactly. Yeah,
But that decision might then affect you to having another weakness because now physical attacks are going to be more prone to you now, right?
yeah.
So it's like you having that risk versus reward, or you trying to plan your character to have maybe one, like your helmet being a heavy helmet, having some more like maybe 4 pieces having light, maybe 2 pieces being mid, so it gives you that blend, that mix and match.
Yeah.
And I think that is what is going to end up being for certain people, right? Because they're going to want to be able to counter certain classes, or maybe they're going to want to really bash a certain class that they just want to be a very, very effective in. But being very effective in this fight makes you less effective in a whole other fight.
Well, and I think that's
Right?
good because, yeah, well, I think that's good because I remember I was listening to what Steven was saying, because he was saying how, whereas if you spec against one thing, you might get bad, you might be worse against another. That's totally fine, because I think like a big problem with what we see in like retail WoW right now is that everybody feels the same. Everybody has like a stun. Everybody has like a get out of jail free card. It feels like you're fighting almost the same classes but different spells. And I
Yeah.
think that that's what's going to be really cool about Ashes, where you have that, where hey, this is how I'm spec, this is how I have to play, and there
Right.
are simply going to be not as like, I'm sure you can skill diff somebody. I'm sure even if somebody like specs against you, if you're the better player, I'm sure there's still going to be that amount of opportunity there.
Right.
But at the same time, there's going to be some sense of just knowing like, hey, I made this decision, I knowingly spec this way, and this class counters me, and if I get wrecked, then hey, because I think even Steven said something that was like rock paper scissors a bit, like,
Yeah.
or something to that, like it's like, well, if they counter you, you spec this way, you knew what to expect, bro.
Yeah. It's basically because they're balancing it, and no game has truly ever done a 1v1 balance well. So
Oh yeah.
Steven and the team know that. There's going to be classes that are going to trounce you, like no matter what. They're just, again, like if you're a scissors and a rock's coming, well, you might end up just
Yeah.
losing 90% of the time, or 80% of the time. Who knows?
Yeah.
But the thing is that what revolves around this is the group gameplay like loop, right? Because Intrepid and Ashes want you to group with other players. So therefore, if there is someone countering you, or like, hey, like clerics are just my kryptonite, well, then you can bring a rogue with you, because rogues, that's clerics kryptonite, right?
Yeah.
Or rogues, right? So they
Yeah.
want you to bring that group composition with you. I understand that's not going to be the case all the time, but that's the incentive there. Like,
And
yes,
that's
you
the
can.
community, and that's the community.
Exactly.
Like, and it's that's going to be even more reason to team up with your homies. Like, that's
Right.
awesome. And
Yeah.
like you said earlier, it puts the massive and massive multiplayer, right? Like,
Right.
that is what we want. Happen to be like even getting in global or general chat and being like, hey, I need somebody to help me out over here, and then
Right.
you need to pull that in, rather than kind of to hit back what we said earlier. Everybody's layered, everybody's doing their own thing on their own solo campaign, nobody cares.
Right.
So it's like, I'm hoping Ashes does kind of create that environment where we got a guy camping us over here and Stranglethorn, and like, I mean, seriously. And it's like, I need a rogue pronto, like I'll pay 1,000 gold, like I need somebody to help me out with this guy. Like, I don't know, it sounds like so much fun, man.
So what do you feel like, and this is like, I guess more of a general question, is like,
Uh-huh.
what do you feel like when you do your own experience of playing an MMO, like what do you feel MMOs lack? Like, I mean, I guess you might say community, but like if that was your answer, like what would you say in the sense of design, right? In the sense of gameplay, like what do you feel MMOs lack?
Well, like, oh, well, heck, I mean, I can even give a little. I'll use Terraceland as an example, right? I mean, I've been trying to get into other MMOs. You know, I think the thing that MMOs lack is, I guess, feeling rewarded for what you do. I think it's
Mm,
easier in other games to get like that dopamine hit, right? Like,
right.
and it comes quicker. Play a COD match, you get that really fast. Play an Apex game, you get top 5. Whoa, that felt great. Let's run it back. But the
Right.
thing with MMOs is, you get on there, you could play for 2 to 3, you could play 2 to 3 hours and not really have like a solid, you know, rush of like, man, that was awesome, I want to keep doing this. And that
Right.
was what I ran into with like a Terraceland, where it just felt, I just didn't get that vibe. I didn't get that like super big feeling, that hit of dopamine that made me want to play it. And unfortunately, that's what I get in a lot of MMOs. I actually did get that with like New World.
Hmm.
And that's what gripped me, like I felt like I was getting stronger. I felt like the mobs were difficult. Also, difficulty. That's something that I think is important. I want my MMO to be hard. I'm a weirdo like that. Like I can't stand easy MMOs, bro. I could have literally been asleep playing Terrace Land. Like
Right.
like, and it's just a good example. Again, no anybody in chat. I don't want anybody who's like big Terrace Land fan. Willie just seems to keep dumping on it. But that's just the reality, It's like I was playing it, I was mashing buttons, and it's like, okay, this doesn't feel rewarding, man. Like, but catch
Right.
me in like a classic WoW or even New World, dude. New World can be tough if you're completely new and you
Right.
run into a zone. Dude, those NPCs will whoop you, bro. Like,
Right.
stand management is important. That's not like a big joke sometimes. As an OG, it's easy, but thinking back to the day, it actually could beat you up, and I like that challenge. I like that difficulty. So a sense of difficulty and a sense of feeling rewarded for my time, I think is kind of what I look for.
Okay. And so with the sense of difficulty, because difficulty can be a lot for certain people, right? So,
Mhm.
or it can mean a lot for certain people, right? So, like, especially in a game where you're trying to incentivize the group aspect,
Mhm.
like, should in your mind certain mobs be soloable, or should there be? And I'm talking just out in the open world, like not in a
Yeah.
dungeon or anything like that. Like, should there be like a focus on that group aspect, or should a single player go into a pretty dangerous area and still be able to kill those mobs, but it's a challenge because those mobs have like multiple abilities, not just
Yeah.
auto attack,
Yeah. Just
auto
brain dead
attack.
NPCs. Yeah.
Right. So like, what do you envision when you say difficult? Like, what is your, if you could be or like
Yeah.
creating the game or
Of
scenario,
course.
like what is that difficulty look
Yeah,
like?
I would like to see, for instance, let's say I enter a zone. I would like to see, like, this is like, let's just do like my ideal. I walk into a zone. It's, this is what I want. So my ideal would obviously have a couple different mob types. They do more than, like you said, just to have auto attacks. They have some abilities. There's some, you can solo these guys, right? But
Okay.
let's say there's like, you can solo the mobs. This is fine. Maybe there's like a mini boss you could do. But also something that I've always loved, and I speak a lot on Classic with this, is maybe there's a big boy in this zone, in this node,
Mm-hmm.
that maybe it's a bigger quest, right? So you
Right.
get a couple of quests to kill the little mobs, maybe loot some things in the area, but then there's like a bigger quest where you have to group up and kill this, the big bad guy of this zone. And
Right.
that requires grouping. So I like that because not only does that necessarily incentivize grouping up, but at the same time, even though it's just that one quest, if you're in the same area, well, why not do the quest together? And that could create a fun environment too. You
Right.
could still do the side quest by your own, but by incentivizing somebody in the area where you need to group up for this one quest or this one big boss mob for maybe a big reward, you could do the other quest together too. So that's kind of like my ideal. Obviously very classic WoWy, but I think classic WoW did it best. Like it
Yeah.
reminds me of, for instance, when you got to go get Knoll armbands in Elwyn Forest, and then the same area, it has Hogger in it, but you can't solo Hogger, so you need to group up and you need to get Hogger down together as a group. I think that has been like my kind of idea of competitive and like, well, not competitive, but difficulty, right? Like
Right.
you could give it a shot, but it's better with a group.
Right. So it's the one thing I think of, especially in classic WoW, is mob density.
Mhm.
So there was a lot of areas, especially when you're like level 30 to 40 or 40 to 50, where like if you can just pick a mob out of the group, like you can solo it. But a
Mhm.
lot of the mobs were all around,
Yeah.
like all
You
these
pull
clusters.
everybody.
Yes. And so you were just like, fuck, okay.
Yeah, dude.
Like I need somebody here because I'm going to pull 3 mobs or 4 mobs. Like
Yeah.
it's like I can only pull one every other respawn, like that's like 15 minutes later, you know what I mean? So I think for me that's also a level of difficulty too, right? So it incentivizes you grouping, right? So
Yeah, for
yes,
sure.
the mobs are challenging even by themselves. I think that's, in my opinion, a lot of MMOs don't try to challenge the player enough.
I agree.
Every single time I feel like the cannon fodder of mob is just, it's too simplistic. It's too
I agree.
easy.
I hate it so much, man.
And
It's
I
crazy.
you don't have to give me Elden Ring, right? I'm not advocating for like every mob to be like an Elden Ring boss, but I'm advocating for just more than auto attack, more than, and again, we have seen it, by the way. So Intrepid, like there's mobs, Willie, that you'll get it to 10% and then they will literally enrage and then go back up to 100%. And now they're doing like 15% more damage. Their haste is increased, and they're doing multiple abilities. Like they're blade storming, they're doing stuff. It's not just auto attack.
Yeah,
so
which is great because it makes you also want to be smart with how you use your abilities. If you have a stun, if you have something that can maybe like pause the if you can like pause the blade storm or stun them at a good time, you want to make sure you use your abilities correctly, and it makes you pay attention. Like, dude, and again, like I don't know about you, but most MMOs these days, it's so easy to play and the mobs are so easy. Like Terraslam was a horrible example of that, man. I get it that they're more focused on like the end game, but as the journey, it was miserable. I was like, this is so easy. Like I mean, I could just run up to anybody in the open world, just spam my abilities. Any order doesn't matter. I could just 1, 2, 4, 3, 5, 7, like doesn't matter. And it's like, and that's not just Terrasland. There's plenty of MMOs like that. And it's like, I hate that. I do agree, because it's like, it just takes out the fun. And at the end of the day, it's just, it reminds me of like, they want me to turn on like some Linkin Park and just have like a Naruto anime montage. It's like, I'm like, dude, I'm not trying. Like, I want something challenging. Like, I don't want to come in here and like, Rasengan and just destroy everybody in the mob. Like, it's like, I'm not trying to be God over here. Like, make it challenging. That's why it comes back to me wanting to be like a peasant. Well, I like feeling like that. Like,
I think, well, I think it's the thing is too, is that I really want there to be mob synergies, right? So like if there is, because they always show the Minotaurs in Ashes, and the Minotaurs, there's like a healing Minotaur, there's a ranged Minotaur, there's a magical Minotaur, and I want there to feel like that more interactions between the mobs, like just like how in a group, right, when we have a healer and stuff like that, the healer's healing our groups, they're buffing, they're doing stuff. I want the mobs to be doing the same shit. Absolutely, I want the mobs to almost feel like an actual group, like a pretty made group. And so again, it feels very strategic in who you need to kill first, who you need to centralize. And then the mobs, like again, like there was the goblin encampment in Alpha 1, and it was a very dense mob encampment. It was like,
oh, really?
You would not want to go in there by yourself. Yes. It was really, really like people would just go in and die. And I think that's really cool. Like I want Ashes to truly like explore, and hell, I wouldn't even mind like a part of a zone that's not a dungeon or anything like that, but just has elites. Again, Classic WoW had this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
just a bunch of different elites that go in there. Now, even in Classic WoW, they did have elites, but they didn't drop anything of worth. Like, I think that's kind of dumb. I think the reward, if you're going to have a big boy like that, you need to put some, make it worth the kill. You know what I mean? But
or hell, back in Classic WoW, you could do a whole quest and it's like the hardest thing ever. And it's like, here's a belt with like 5 agility and 2 spirit and 1 strength. It's like, okay. Like,
I know.
All right, dude.
Thank
I mean,
you.
I'll take this. I don't know what the hell class is using this, but it's mine now.
No, I know and I think Ashes is going to do a lot when it comes to the journey part of it. Like, because again, most MMOs don't really concentrate on that. It's all a means to an end to hit endgame. And that's what Terrasland is. That's what retail WoW is. 100%. Like Final Fantasy 14, like everything is just kind of like a means to an end. Like, it's just like, this is kind of inconsequential. Like, we'll give you a little bit of story, we'll give you a little bit of quest, we'll let you push some buttons, but nothing is meaningful until you start doing our end game. And that's what I feel is such a waste of design. Yeah. Like, why would you make us do all these quests if it wasn't something meaningful, if it wasn't something worth doing? You know what I mean?
I absolutely agree. Yeah. I mean, it all comes back to what we said earlier when it comes to like, it just feeling like the MMOs these days are literally just so focused on the end game that it's like the journey is lost. And whenever you were saying that it takes like projected like a month to get to max level in AOC, bro, I'm going to love that. You know what I mean? Like, because it's going to feel so like I don't know about you, but I always remember when I first hit like 60 in WoW. Like that moment, those moments, like when you hit that max level, because like the journey was just so long. It's literally, it just triggers something in your body like, wow, I did it. Like,
Yeah.
talk about feeling accomplished. And I think that's what a good MMO does. A bad
Right.
MMO just it waits for you, it's just hold your hand here, little buddy. Here, buddy, here. Oh, go kill that guy. He's not gonna kill you. You could be AFK for like 10 minutes fighting him and he still won't kill you. It's like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
So I did want to ask you something. Because you're a streamer and stuff like that. The culture of min-maxing in today's landscape, the culture of going onto YouTube or going to your favorite website and looking at a guide, it's Ice Gauntlet Bis this season, you know what I mean? Or whatever it is, right? So how do you feel with that kind of culture, the whole racing to end game, the whole like forgoing the journey, grinding your way there, having a miserable experience? Like, how do you feel about that kind of a culture?
I'm a bit of like, I guess I'm a bit of an old head. It's crazy to say that. Look, I'm pushing 30 next year. I'm going to be 30 next year. It's crazy to say that, but I feel like a bit of an old head MMO where it's like an MMO player where it's like, it just kind of bothers me a bit. I understand it. Like, cause as old head as I am, I'm also competitive. I'm a competitive player in like everything that I play. I can't help it. It's just like how I do things. So I understand like wanting to like min-max and have the best. I mean, hell, even if you look at the wars in New World, we're min-maxing everything. Like we will use all the consumes that we need. Our gear will be perfectly perfectly in line with how to create like the perfect set, right? Like we're min-maxing. Now, that's obviously at an end game level, but I think like min-maxing and wasting the journey, just like, for instance, we see this in Classic WoW where frost mages will just farm one camp on repeat to level 60. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they'll just get in and just farm one camp. They'll just farm camps and it's like, that's not engaging. That's not fun. But are they min-maxing their time? Yeah, absolutely. I think it's kind of dumb because it takes away from the journey, because I would almost bet money the people that do that are going to be the same people that are going to be like, man, Ashes doesn't have any content. Man, Ashes sucks. Man,
preaching,
it's like,
dude.
No, they are. They're going to be the same people. They're the same people in every game that do this. They min-max the whole game. They min-max the whole game instantly, and then they're going to be the first people on Reddit who are like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Ashes is dog water. It's like, dude, you didn't even play it. It's just how it is, man. We see it with every MMO, every game, dude.
Dude,
it is what it
can I get some bastes in chat, please? Like, holy shit, dude. Dude, Willie was spitting right now, man. No, it's true. I'm really glad I'm not alone in this, because I feel like this culture of always feeling like you're inadequate to think for yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not smart, so go look at a guide and have someone tell you how to play. Have someone tell you how to gear. Someone tell you how to talent.
Well, yeah, and they're the same. I'm sorry, dude. I'm like mid rant. They're the same. They're the same kids. They're the same people that are going to like El Bozo dance on people for like, they're like, huh? You're only level 30. You're still playing the game. Like you're not even max yet. It's like, oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm having fun with the game. Like, how dare I? Like, it's just so ridiculous, man. It just irritates me, dude. Like, because I as somebody who, because like I'm a weird combination of both. When I get to end game, I will min max. I will be a sweat. I will do that.
Right.
But while I'm on my journey, let me be 30 years old and just sip my coffee, have fun, talk to some friends, and like enjoy the ride. But it's like there's people that can't understand that. And they don't understand how somebody could genuinely have fun with the game and not min-max it. Because in their eyes, if you're not the best, then you're last. And it's like, well, sorry, dude. Like, sorry you live in these like complete black and white situations where there's no gray zone. Like, you can't fathom the fact that somebody enjoys playing the game the way that you don't. Like, it's just weird.
Well, I think people just take it too far. They'll see, because I remember literally, like, I remember playing in Warlords of Draenor, which was the final time I played my hunter. And during that time, Beastmaster was like just performing so well. But I said, fuck Beastmaster. I'm gonna play survival, because that's what I've been playing since Burning Crusade. And I would beat people on the meter that were playing Beastmaster. Like, and they're like, dude, what are you doing? And
I
I'm
feel
like,
you in my core, bro.
I'm just doing what I do. Like, I'm doing damage. And again, it's because just because you think you're following the best guide, you're going to perform that at the best of your ability. Like, you're probably not, because I've been doing my rotation for years. You've been doing this rotation all for the 5 minutes of you watching that video, and then now you're in raid.
Vlhadus, I am so with you right now because, dude, this is my WoW's coming out. Dude, I'm an ice mage in WoW. Okay,
Oh,
I am
shit.
an ice mage. I don't care if ice is for PvP. I don't care. I would run ice in PvE, and I'm not capping. Y'all know me. There's gotta be some people. If anybody watches this, classic WoW. What Willie? I was an ice mage, and brother, I was always in that top 10. Fighting for the top 5 in first place all the time as an ice mage. And I was like one of the few people on my server that ran ice mage. And it's like everybody would be like, oh, you're not running fire, huh? You're gonna do exactly 0.5% less DPS. And it's like, shut the hell up. Like, get out of here. No, get out of here. Like the boss is gonna get down regardless. I'm dumping DPS no matter what. Like, just because I'm not gonna, my parse is gonna be precisely 2.7% different. Like, eat my ass, bro. Dude, that's, I'm just saying, I can't stand dudes like that, man. I can't stand it. It's like unless I'm dying on repeat, my DPS is bad, get out of here. Bro, I don't know, man.
I feel like I found my kindred spirit now, because bro, I have literally, like, when I was playing Survival Hunter, man, people would always ask me, like, dude, like, how are you doing that damage? My AoE should be way higher than yours, because I'm playing the best spec. I'm playing the Beastmaster, and I'm like,
yeah,
dude, it doesn't matter if you know how to play your class. Like, yes, if you were a robot pushing all of the most optimal buttons at the right time, yes, you probably would be beating me. But at the end of the day, you got to play what you love, because when you play something you love, you're going to do the best you can at it. Because again, and especially in WoW, like when I look at guides and shit, and I would see like, oh, Havoc Demon Hunter, and it was that momentum gameplay, I was like, oh, fuck that. I'll never fucking play momentum. That shit is garbage.
Bro, I'm right there. Or everybody's like, go Arcane Mage. Like, dude, I'm not trying to Arcane Blast to 0% mana and mid-max 5 head every mana pot that I have with my mana crystals. It's like, screw that. I want to shoot my frost bolt. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, I like what I do. And I agree with you, man. You gotta like what you do. If you don't like your class, then why the hell are you playing it? Like, to min-max, get out of here with that.
Do you feel like New World, like, either does New World incentivize that min-max culture, or do you feel like it kind of strays away from it?
I actually think New World strays away from it. I have seen
way
more. Yeah, I would actually say I've seen, and as somebody who's putting thousands of hours on WoW and New World, I think WoW has way more of a community of you have to do it this way or you're trolling.
Yes,
the thing about New
100%.
World is, the thing about New World is, yes, there is that. Like, for instance, when you run a bruiser set, Great Axe and Warhammer is ideal.
Right.
But dude, at the same time, you can run whatever the heck you're feeling. And to be honest, you might get some people question marking your build, but I don't know. It's not really as like bad in the New World scene where people are like would make fun of somebody or tell somebody to switch up their class. Now, if they're trying to war, that's different, but that's a different, because wars are so in depth with exactly what classes you need. It creates a different scenario, right? Like like you're fighting for territory. Like, this is important stuff that you have to, that is different. But if you're running OPR, run whatever the hell you want. You're not really going to have anybody talking bad about you. People are pretty cool with it. But yeah, and WoW, dude, I ran into that all the time. It was crazy. I couldn't stand it. That's why I'm passionate about it, because that just reminded me of my WoW days and how many conversations I got into people and explaining them like, look, I'm a frost mage, but I promise I'll do good. The DPS charts. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Like, look, I like especially when I'm trying to pug, I'd be like, hey, look, I'm like super high geared mage. And they're like, oh, you're not fire. And it's like, no, I'm not fire. And we're going to do just fine.
Dude, and you know how many times the amount of people you would bring that fire mage and they do shit.
Oh, absolutely.
They do shit.
Yeah,
it's like, what's going on?
You could go in a 1B and you're just out DPSing this dude. And you're like, oh, but he's fire, guys. He's
yeah.
Yeah, dude. God, dude.
So stupid,
It's
man.
so
Okay.
funny that you had that same problem though.
No, I do want to continue this conversation, but we're gonna be wrapping up this episode. And guys, if you are watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, especially if you like this conversation, because we're gonna continue this conversation in the post show. And if you want to watch that, there's going to be the full episode VOD that'll be available on YouTube for my YouTube membership people. But Willie, where can people find you to go and watch your boy Willie at?
Hey, dude, guys, if you guys are watching this, you haven't met me yet. I know that I did a video with Burns and somebody said this guy's on stimulants, but look, that's just how I am. If you guys do enjoy, you can find me at twitch.tv/yourboywillie with two eyes. Okay. Now, could I have changed that? Yes. But you know what? That's what I was raised with. So I'm going to stick to it. And I do want to say, too, if you guys here on Twitch or anywhere, support my boy Vlhadus. Great guy. Awesome dude. Nothing but good vibes. Make sure you guys hit him with a follow. Do your thing. We support great people out here, man. That's one thing that I like to stand 10 toes down on, is supporting good people with good energy, good vibes.
Dude, well, thank you so much, Willie, dude. I really appreciate that. And guys, thank y'all so much for watching. We're going to continue the show on Twitch and YouTube, and we will see you guys on the next one. Later, guys.
Now that they're gone. Dude. No, I'm kidding.
Now that we're done with that,
now we really get a roast.
No, well, honestly, dude, like I feel like with the min-max culture in Ashes is going to be a very different thing, because you again everybody's gonna have to make their own. Like, what do you want to do? Because again, you're not going to be able to get away from certain aspects like you are, or that you can in other games, right? Yeah. So in New World now, right? If you want to just queue out or unselect PvP, now you're in a different shard with only PvE players, right? That's how it works currently.
Yeah.
Right. So
well, right now, currently, no. That is going to be that's going to be coming. Yeah, that's coming in October. So right now, everything is just like, you could flag up, you could unflag. It doesn't really matter. You're still in one central zone, but they are adding sharding this October. So yeah, if you are flagged for PvP, you're going to be in your own shard. So
right. Okay. Yeah. So basically, like that's not going to happen in Ashes. So, and the reason why I say that is because gearing. Again, we all know the rock, paper, scissors dynamic, but there's also the PvE and PvP dynamic. So if you as a PvPer are going to be gearing in a way that is more effective in PvP, could make you less effective in PvE.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a lot of trade-offs that I think Ashes is going to have to do, or not Ashes specifically, but you as a player will have to do in the sense of, how are you going to min-max? Are you min-maxing towards this specific dungeon? Are you min-maxing towards PvP in general, towards a singular class? Like, and so I think that aspect is going to be really interesting, because
do you think we're going to run into any problem? I'm sorry to interrupt your train of thought.
No, it's okay.
I'm a big dummy. I might forget. Do you think that's going to run into? Do you think that's going to run into any problems with like multiple gear sets and people feeling like they need a whole lot of different ways to, like, get into different gears, getting in different, like, versions of their class? Do you think that that's going to be an issue? Do you know if Ashes have like really thought about that? Because I know in New World you have. Okay. Because I know in New World we ran into that. So I'm just curious if like Ashes has talked about that.
Yeah, they've talked about the sense of like having multiple sets. And again, it's really going to be on Intrepid to facilitate. Okay, well, if that's going to be the case, like, are they going to be in support of players switching out certain gear? Is the inventory allocation going to be a mess for us players to deal with? Is it going to be very limited in the sense of like, oh, well, you can only carry like another set and that's it? And again, I think that's all to be determined. Like, of course, we're not playing the game yet, but I will always advocate for hell, if you want to have 4 different sets that you personally made and orchestrated, like, hey, this is your AoE set, this is your dungeon set, this is your PvE set, this is your PvP set, hey, go right ahead, right? Like, but I think it's really up to Intrepid if they're going to allocate that kind of an inventory space for just managing different sets for different situations. I would not mind that personally. Now, as far as players being irritated at the fact they have to do that, that's a whole other discussion, because I've talked to a lot of players where, again, this is why a lot of MMOs make universal gear, right? They want everything to feel like you don't need other sets. This is all what you need for single target AoE, PvE, PvP. And that it's very convenient for the player because they'll know, well, this is my gear. I don't ever have to switch it out. I don't ever have to
Yeah,
do anything
this is
different.
what I need. This I don't have to like put any brain power into really anything
Right.
else.
But
Yeah.
even for you as a classic WoW person, right? Like your Molten Core set needed fire resist gear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Without fire resist gear, you were basically useless in that raid.
Mhm.
And so again, I think there's going to be a lot of old school principles in Ashes of Creation that a lot of new school people just aren't used to.
Well, and I think that that comes with the territory of the fact that the people who are making this game are gamers, right? They're
Right.
not because right now it's that is kind of like where people are at in the gaming industry is like as quick as possible. You know, get them min max, get to the end game as quick as possible, get some in game content, make it easy to min max, and that's it. You know, I think though when you're an actual gamer and you're and you're actually cooking on the experience, I think that's where Intrepid is kind of coming in here.
Right.
They just have a different vibe, in my opinion. The way they look at things feels so old school, and I like
Right.
that. You know what I mean? I like that. I actually do.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of the developers that again, I don't think they're trying to do a lot of old school principles, but I think I think some of the old school principles I'm still having trouble with. Like I don't know how I'm going to take XP debt. Like that's just an example, right?
What's XP debt? Explain if you don't mind
So
me asking.
when you die, you basically have a debt of experience that you have to regain again.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, dang. Oh, dang.
So
Okay,
it's not
that's
XP
spicy.
loss in a
Yeah.
sense, but it's something you have to earn back if you
Okay.
keep dying over and over and
Yeah.
over again. So that's kind of like a stopper in the sense of if you reach a certain point of content that you're just throwing yourself at and you're dying,
Yeah.
you're dying, that's the game telling you you're not ready for that particular
Yeah, for
content
sure.
yet, right?
That's
So,
awesome, though. Yeah.
well, in my head, I don't know if it is going to be awesome, but I'm willing to experience it because again,
I
my
like a
first
challenge
MMO,
though. That's where my competition comes in.
right,
I like the idea where it's like in RuneScape when I first started playing RuneScape back in the day, where
right,
if I died, I lost all my stuff and everybody could just come pick it up and you were
right,
just back to being a noob and lumpy. So
right,
it's like I kind of like that thought in the back of my mind. Every time I'm fighting something, if I die, there is something that I don't want to happen. There's a
right,
risk here that I don't like. And I
right.
want to make sure that I avoid this. So it makes it where I am still doing this and I'm not watching Netflix like zoned out while I'm barely playing. Like WoW, for
Right.
instance,
Well,
nowadays.
and that kind of goes into a certain bits of Zerging, right? You mentioned Zerging earlier.
Mhm.
So a lot of people are very scared for Zerging when it comes to world bosses. And so XP debt is going to be there for that kind of a purpose, right? That if you're constantly telling your people to go towards the boss and just throw yourselves in, you're dying over and over and over. If you've died 3 times already and you're like, bro, I am not going to continue dying. I'm just going to stop going to the world boss. That actually stops the Zerg to keep Zerging basically, right? And
Yeah,
because
yeah.
if you don't have any kind of a measure against that, then it is going to be kind of an indefinite stopgap. Like just keep throwing bodies at the other thing to prevent this guild or this party from killing the world boss. And so, but if there are actual legit penalties like that, it's going to have to end up being the better group wins in the end, or
Yeah,
the one
fact.
that's willing to endure the most punishment will win in that sense as well. So it is a lot of risk versus reward. Is it risky to keep throwing myself at it? Absolutely. But is the reward worth it? Maybe, maybe not. It's up to you. It's up to the group to
Yeah.
decide that. And I think that's a very powerful statement because, again, most of the time, there really isn't any kind of a risk anymore when it comes to MMOs. It just
Yeah, true.
isn't. There's
Yeah,
just
no,
nothing
yeah,
there.
absolutely. Yeah. It's just like and that's where it came in earlier. I like a bit of a challenge. I don't want it to be easy. I don't want to get in an MMO and to start dumping on everything. I want to feel my power level go up. I want to feel if I'm a noob, then I want to feel like a noob. If I start getting that strength and that power, then I want to start feeling powerful. The way I feel is
Right.
so important, right? Like the way you feel in an MMO might be like one of the most important things. You want to
Oh,
feel
absolutely.
strong on times where you need to be strong, and you want to feel weak when you need to feel weak. Like it
Right.
creates a good environment.
Yeah, I feel like with Ashes, this is why I've been backing this particular project, and actually recently, literally just a couple of an hour or so ago, Lazy Peon just came out with a brand new video on Ashes of
Oh,
Creation.
hey, oh, really? I love
Yep.
Peon.
Yeah, and
Peon's awesome.
so yeah, so that's really exciting. And I was he mentioned on Twitter, and I put on Twitter, I said, hey. I just want you to know, Lazy Peon, my boy Burns from Copium Clinic, is a great content creator, and he responded back, and he said,
Oh, really?
"Hey." He goes, I just saw him come up on my For You page on YouTube and randomly, and I watched his Dungeons video. Great content creator, or great content, quality
Oh,
content,
that's
I think is what he
awesome.
said. And
Hell
so
yeah.
I was like, dude, my boy Burns is on Lazy Peon's radar now. It's so awesome because
Yeah,
again,
no, that is so cool.
I think Burns does the Lord's work for what he does in the Ashes space. Because again, it's like I'm really excited to actually have not just amazing like YouTubers, but also amazing like streamers like yourself
Yeah.
to
Oh,
really
thanks, man.
bring Ashes to like this level of like, dude, this is going to be a game that is going to be able to compete with the likes of like World of Warcraft,
I think
Final
so.
Fantasy 14.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
I think
it's
so.
going to be up there.
Yeah, I firmly believe that. I mean, it's a big reason, like I said. I mean, I really hopped on the train, and I've been on the train for a second. I've
Right.
looked. Obviously, I spent a lot of time. I spent a lot of time looking into other MMOs, other things like that, and nothing has made me as excited as Ashes has. Nothing has.
Yeah.
So it's like it's just true. It's just how it is. Like nothing ever really gives me that feeling or those vibes, but this game does. Like even though it's not out yet, everything I see about it. Also, dude, I'm a sucker for fantasy.
Oh, same.
Give me that medieval, maces, axes, magic, dude. I'm there. I'm there. So it's like,
Yeah.
a lot of MMOs coming out there, like, I don't know, they always try to have like a different spin. There's like it's like futuristic or it's like things like that. It's like, dude, just give me a nice fantasy MMO, different that separates from WoW, but is its own thing. It's fun, it's exciting, it's engaging. And I really feel like that's what Ashes is, man.
Yeah, it was really disappointing like what PAX Day kind of, I guess, turned into in a sense, because
Oh
I was
man.
actually looking forward to like what that project was going to be.
Yeah.
And then Quinfall has another closed beta or an alpha coming up
Mhm.
too. And honestly, like I always thought that game was a scam. I'm not going to be totally
Yeah.
honest. I was like, dude, I think Quinfall looks like a legit scam. But
Yeah.
apparently they're trudging. We'll see what they have to show. But it has been a very much like it's not good in the
No.
MMO community space, man. Like, and this is why, like, I am trying to.
Companies don't want to invest in MMOs. I mean,
No, they don't.
dude, why would they? I mean, MMOs have been on such a downtrend. It's hard. It's tough. It's tough. And as somebody who loves MMOs, that is part of why I'm looking at Ashes too, because it's like nobody really wants to give MMOs the love and passion that it deserves. I grew up
Right.
playing MMOs. Like I
Yeah.
have like a very big emotional attachment to MMOs in general. It's
Right.
something I've always done. It's something I love doing, and it's like the fact that it's in such a bad state. It sucks. It
Yeah.
really does, man. It sucks.
So I guess let me ask you like a pretty like what do you think Ashes can do to help new player acquisition? Like what do you think Ashes can do to help someone look at this game and not feel like scared by it because of all of like the risk versus reward and all this other stuff? It's like, do you think they can do
I
anything to help
think,
that?
yeah. I mean, honestly, well, in general, what I would like to see from Ashes, this is just in general, what I would like to see from Ashes is right now, Ashes needs to change public opinion, in the sense of there's way too much people thinking that this game is just doesn't exist. Like that's the problem with Ashes right now. There's way too
Right.
many people that just think this game is like it's never going to come out. Alpha's not coming out, beta's not coming out. It's going to be 2030 before we see anything. I think it would be really cool for Ashes if I'm serious, man. If Intrepid made like a super on the nose video and just was like, this game's very real. And it shows like clips of the game, and just kind of made a really on the nose marketing video where it was just pretty much saying, like, oh, we're out here and we're ready to go. We're coming for the MMO space with
Right.
something, say it with their chest. I think
Right.
that would go a long way. I think that they need something right now, in my opinion. At least maybe when Alpha comes out or soon enough, but they need to change public opinion because right now people don't even I think that's the biggest hurdle that Ashes has right now is
Right.
people don't think this game is actually coming out. I don't know how many times on my stream that I answer that question, like daily. Every time anybody brings up Ashes, I have to tell somebody new every single day, like, no, we're playing it this year.
Right.
And they're like, what? Every time, every time.
Right.
So I
Okay.
think even that would go far for Ashes. I hope. I don't know. I mean, I just think it would.
Okay. So, okay. you understanding Ashes, like how long do you think Alpha 2 will last?
Well, obviously the hope is that alpha, we get an alpha straight into a beta and things like that, right?
Right.
Like that, like, alpha 2 all the way up into beta into release. I think that would be pretty crazy. But I mean, I'm what can I say? I'm easy to please. I would like alpha 2 to at least last a couple months. I know, like, maybe people want more, maybe they think it should be less. I think a couple months, let people chew on it. If it's ready enough,
Right.
obviously not enough to where you're going to completely like beast mode everything, get rid of everything, but or like do all the content and or whatever. But I think just enough to chew on it. But I also, part of me, as much as I want to stream it and not stop streaming it and playing it, and as much as I want to play it, I actually do genuinely feel that it's way better if we don't get all of it just yet. Leave something, leave some mystery, leave something that's like, give us a good bite, like a delicious, taste of food, and then slowly release more.
Right.
I think that is something that Terrace Land did well, but
Okay.
in a very weird way that I wouldn't say exactly like Terrace Land, because Terrace Land was just odd. The gated content like immediately, like every day, which was just super weird. But
Hmm.
something like that. Give us something to eat, make us feel hungry, and then it's like, maybe pull back a little bit, work on some things, just make sure you're ready. Because if New World taught us anything, is you have to be ready. It can
Right.
be an amazing game. You can get 1 million people playing your game, but if your game is not ready, if you are not prepared, then it can all come crashing. So it's like, I just want to make sure that when Ashes, however they do it, I just hope that they do it in a way to where it's going to be sustainable.
Okay. So I guess let's put it into a perspective then. Do you remember when the beta was out for New World and they
Mhm.
said, guys, we're so sorry, or they came out with something that said, we're going to delay the beta a year? Do you remember when that happened?
Yes, I do.
Right. It did delayed it a year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So in your mind, when the game actually released, how long do you think they should have took longer to
Okay,
actually
yeah.
have a more full New World experience?
This is gonna sound crazy, and as somebody who has been in this space for a while, I think if New World sat and waited, and it's gonna sound wild, but about 2 years, I genuinely feel that way. If New World was given 2 more years to work and cook on, I think it could have been absolutely the next big MMO, but
Right.
they pushed it too fast. I
Right.
genuinely think that. I genuinely think that. I think most people who play the game could would think that too, because
Hmm.
the thing about New World is the potential that game had was so massive. You can feel it. You can play
Oh
that
yeah.
game and be like, "Oh my god, there's so much potential here to make this just like absolutely next level," and
Right.
it feels a little squandered.
Right. So again, I just wanted to put that into a perspective
Uh
because
huh.
that's, in my opinion, Ashes. When the Alpha 2 comes out in September, we're in probably for a 2 to 3 year Alpha 2.
Hmm.
So I just,
Yeah.
for you, like, again, you're coming into the community, you're watching the live streams
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to put it into a perspective for you because I think you
Yeah.
are going to be a steward for your own community to basically align perspectives with people coming into your chat
Mhm.
expecting, oh, Alpha 2, we're only going to be there for like a couple of months, right? And then we're going to get into beta and then the games come out. Like, so 2025, guys, that's when Alpha's coming, or that's when Ashes is coming out
Yeah. Yeah.
officially. Like, I really don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
do
For
think they're actually going to put potentially a lot of stuff like that we won't see. And they probably will internally test certain things, but I think a lot of the major systems we are going to go in, we're going to be testing a lot of, because again, I'm sure Burns has talked to you about this. Ashes of Creation is probably the biggest MMORPG systems wise ever attempted.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. This is, I mean, it's insane. Even just from what I know about it.
Yeah. So it's gonna be one of those things where, just like you said, like if AGS only had time to cook. Now, Steven has been very upfront about he will not release the game until it's ready. So
Good.
this is why I think it's going to potentially take a 2 to 3 year Alpha 2 just for how big the scope of this game is. Now, if you look back and just juxtapose that to New World, the scope of New World wasn't that massive in the grand
Yeah,
scheme of
no,
things.
no,
It
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah. If you compare it, yeah, for
very
sure.
basic, and
Yeah.
again, Ashes or New World still needed 2 years to
Yeah.
give a basic MMO
Yeah.
system out. So again, this is why I think Interim Studios has been hiring like crazy. They're actually past 200 developers now in the sense
Oh, that's
of
amazing.
working on the game now, and they're still continuing to hire. So I guess I'm just trying to tell you all this information because I know there's a lot
Good.
of passionate people in your community
Oh yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah.
you're trying to give them information. So I'm just relaying information for you so you can tell your community as
Good.
to
No,
like
that's
what's
great
going on.
information. Yeah, because I mean, a lot of people come to me and ask. I mean,
Yeah.
in the new world sphere, I mean, right now, I mean, that's they know I've been talking about ashes. I've been preaching the gospel. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, it says original New World was a very different game, though. Only in a second beta did they decide to switch gears and then release with missing systems.
yeah. I mean, 100%.
Okay.
I see that. I see that for sure, and I think that is why I think New World probably needed more time to cook. Like I say,
Right.
2 years because you can tell that they switched gears. Like
Oh, yeah.
it was supposed to be like a slash survival kind of like PvP central game. It was,
Mm,
and then it turned into mainly like they tried to switch it into like a PvE MMO when you could tell like that just wasn't really like, it wasn't what it's supposed to be. And that's why like the PvP community and stuff is so big because you can tell like the PvP is just where New World thrives in. Like
right.
anybody can see that. Like it is what it is.
Right. Well, Willie, dude, I don't want to keep you any longer. I know you got your kids and stuff like that, and you got to
Yep.
prep for your stream coming up soon,
Yeah, yeah.
dude.
I'm honestly gonna get them ready for bed and then probably pop on. So
Yeah. So, Willie, dude, thank you so much. This was an awesome conversation, dude. I had an
hell yeah,
amazing
dude.
time talking with you. And like I said, you guys can find Willie at your boy Willie on Twitch. I'm gonna be. Can I do a shout out?
Yeah, dude. I mean, honestly, I appreciate you having me on, man. It's a lot of fun. Like, dude, I love chit chatting. I love yapping. I mean, hey, if we could always, you could always, invite me for more. That's cool too. I'm always out here. I'm always down. I love talking to you. Obviously, shout out to Burns. So, hopefully my
Oh yeah.
community came through and said what's up.
Oh no,
Try
I
to support
appreciate
the
it.
homie a little bit.
Again, I really just wanted to have a dialogue with you because I know you're probably going to end up being probably a pretty good influential person in the Ashes space once you're streaming it. And so to
Yeah.
have that information, I think, and just to relay to your people, because I think Alpha 2 is going to create so much hype and there's going to be so many brand new people coming into streams not knowing a damn thing about the game,
Exactly.
about
Yeah,
the
we're gonna be the
developments, or
beacons.
yes. And so having
Yeah.
that knowledge is going to be the best thing you can possibly do.
Well, I
Um,
appreciate that. I mean, obviously, as somebody who, I grew up in and was raised in New World, I've always said that, I only want to stream things that I'm genuine and passionate about. And I'm passionate about this. And I got absolutely no, of course, I love reaching out, meeting some people in the field, dude. It's so awesome, right? Like, it's so cool. And,
absolutely.
we are, we're building that community, right? We're building it now. So whether it's 2, 3 years, whatever comes around, the people who are here from the start, that's going to be what's important, right? The people who are,
Absolutely.
starting it up and really, and also I want to say too, having some good energy and some good vibes around it.
Oh,
I know people are in the space, but sometimes you'd be a little negative. It's like, let's just try to stay positive, man. Like but that's how I operate though. So,
right.
but
No,
yeah,
for
okay.
sure.
I could keep yapping. It's been a great time, man.
Dude, no, the yapping is like top tier, dude. I really apprate your passion,
It's
your
somehow
generosity.
what I'm good at, dude. I don't know. The gift to not shut up is, I guess, something that I have. But
Uh,
no, hey, Vlhadus, love you, bro. I do got to get out of here and get the kids and stuff before I
no,
talk
for sure, for
forever.
sure. All right,
Shout out to
man.
Vlhadus community, man. Hopefully you guys have fun. I'll see you guys around. Peace, guys.
All right, later, guys.
Yep.
Well, that was awesome. Your boy Willie was pretty freaking amazing to talk to. Oh crap! What the hell happened? Well, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna call it here too, guys. I really appreciate y'all hanging out with us and just talking and stuff. So this was great. Thank you so much, Burns. This was like a really, really, really cool conversation, man. I'm sure that he had a good time too. But yeah, we'll be. I don't know if I'm gonna be streaming later on tonight or maybe tomorrow. I might stream tomorrow. It depends. Tomorrow might be a crazy day for me, but we'll see. Guys, you'll have a great rest of your day, and I will see y'all on the next one. Later, guys.